You said this is going to be definitive or probable.
Yeah. So when we say or take the proposition, like
No. I
Nagato
understand the
beats
difference
Itachi.
between something being definitive and probable and possible, right? I just wanted to ask you, like, if that was what you were asking, because
Yeah.
I was switching my audio and shit. I think that is more so probable because my stance is that they're like comparable. So like either one could be either one, but I think that Nagato is more likely to beat Itachi. So if you had to like rank it out of 10, I'll
Yeah.
say Nagato probably wins like 7 out of 10 times.
Okay. Can you give me the base account for that?
You want like my preponderance, or you just want like a singular argument?
Yeah, I want the base
Like you want to go
account.
point.
Yeah, for justifying the priors. I'm agnostic. Yeah.
I'll just use a preponderance thing. I'll use the idea that Nagato, well, not the idea, the fact that Nagato shows better physical strength feats, similar speed feats. The narrative portrayal is him being like the ultimate Tensei, him being the strongest man in Akatsuki while in a lower form, that being the six
Mhm.
paths of pain, which we know why here Nagato is superior to. And I just use him generally countering most of Itachi's abilities.
Okay, and that's why I told you that. That's why I asked you for the base theorem, right? Because when we're talking about probabilities, we're going to be indexing that to base theorem. So I'm asking why is a
If you want to
posteriori
use if
probability
you
of
want
a
to use
given
like a base
hypothesis?
theorem, I just
Yeah,
use the narrative portrayal in and of itself.
the
Like
narrative
the
portrayal
narrative
within
portrayal in
itself.
and of itself could be like wait, the narrative portrayal could be encompassing towards like his abilities and the way that they interact.
As priors,
You said what?
as priors. Hello.
Huh?
Yeah, I was asking you as priors.
Is that priors? I
As
literally
priors. Okay, you don't know what base theorem is? Yeah, so when we're talking about priors, that just means the prior probability considering new evidence of a given hypothesis,
Oh, okay.
right? So
Because I literally did not hear what you were saying. Like I could not
yeah,
understand.
yeah. So when we're appealing to priors, right, we could be appealing to credences within like a narrative or implications within the narrative, and that could just be background
Mm-hmm.
information or knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
So when we want to
Yeah.
say
So
that,
I want to know
when
like
we talk,
what. Okay, go ahead.
yeah, when we talk about the sufficient criteria to say that it's more probable that Nagato, sorry, is stronger than Itachi, would have to talk about the posteriori prior probability, sorry, the posteriori probability of the given hypothesis yielding a sufficient
I think that
threshold.
if you talk about, because that was a different proposition, like Nagato being stronger than Itachi versus Nagato beating Itachi is like two different things. I think
Sorry,
not that
I meant
Nagato
when I
being
say
stronger
stronger, I
than
mean
Itachi.
I'm sorry. When I say stronger, I
Oh,
meant
okay,
beat.
okay. That's okay. Bet. So yeah, I think that you would need to like demonstrate some type of evidence that would like change that context or my conclusion. Because I
Huh?
already
Change the
illustrated the reasons
conclusion?
or my basis as to why I think that
Yeah,
Nagato
and I'm
would
putting
beat
that into
Itachi.
question. I'm
So,
asking why does that posteriori probability yield a sufficient threshold to say
well,
it's
you just cut
probable
out
that
bad
your
as hell.
character would
Repeat
win
that. No,
if
repeat
your
that sentence
other
over again. You
character.
just cut out.
Hold on, give me a second. Yeah,
Nigga in
we're not
DC
doing
from
this
the
burden
shadow.
switching shit here. All right. All I'm saying is that given those priors, I'm saying why does it yield a sufficient posterior probability that would be sufficient enough to say that Nagato
Because
beats Itachi?
okay. The reason why is because when we have debates or conversations about fiction, we support
Mhm.
our interpretations with lines of consistency, right? I've
Right.
already illustrated to you the reasons why I think that my stance is the consistent, more probable one, and I already opened this with my premise saying that
Yeah.
I believe that it's more probable for Nagato to defeat Itachi,
That's
right?
the
So
claim.
me presenting to you this line of consistency and evidence to support and
You
justify
didn't
my
present
conclusion
any
is
line
already
of
fulfilling
consistency
my
or
verdict.
evidence. Okay, look, you
I
didn't
already
provide.
gave you my line of consistency
Okay,
for
yeah.
it.
So yeah, you're just shadow boxing because you're low tier. You don't
I'm
understand
not
anything
shadow
about
boxing.
probability.
How that's irony.
I was asking you.
You're
So the
that's an L
consistency
appeal
or
to anger.
line of
That's your weakness.
reasoning,
Like
right? I
I'm
put
not
that
gonna
in the
fall for
question. I
your
said,
bait.
why does this year yield, sorry, a posterior probability that's sufficient enough to say that your character beats X, right? You give no argument for that.
Why
So
is
we're
this
gonna
sufficient?
conclude.
I already explained to you why it's sufficient because when we talk about fiction, we use evidence and supplementary material to come to these conclusions.
Right, and where are they? Right,
And I already
because obviously
listed.
you're
Do
talking
you
about
want
objective
scans? Do you want
probability. I'm not
empirical
talking about
evidence?
subjective
Wait,
thresholds that you're
do you
claiming.
want
This isn't
empirical
subjective
evidence?
thresholds
Do
or
you want
objective
empirical
thresholds that you're
evidence? Do you
claiming.
want empirical
Right,
evidence?
if we're talking about subjective priors, that's not sufficient enough to raise a prior probability if you're given a hypothesis or your position. We can conclude.
Okay, so now you're arguing from subject. Okay. So this is based on subjectivity, right?
No.
Okay.
Dude, do you know what subjective priors are? Do you know what like objective and subjective Bayesianism is?
No.
Okay, we can conclude.
Okay, bro.
All
So
right.
you basically didn't attack my
No,
argument
I
whatsoever.
did. Okay, so basically, I
No,
put all of his
you did
priors
not.
into question, right? I asked him why does his priors yield a sufficient posteriori probability for his
And
given
I gave you my
hypothesis to
reasoning
say.
as to why.
No, you didn't. You only gave the
Yes,
priors. I said those priors could be subjective.
I did,
Why are you talking over me?
I did, bitch.
Why are you talking
Because
over
you're
me?
lying. Like, what the fuck?
Okay,
Obviously,
you're
I'm gonna talk
retarded.
over you. You lie.
No, you only claim that there's a credence X within this narrative, okay? And I put that into question. I
I
said, why does this
explained you. I
credence,
gave
why
the
what
exact
you're claiming a
reasons as to
credence
why
is
this is
going to yield a
has
sufficient
credence
posterior probability to
I
say
gave
that
you
it's sufficient
exact
enough to say
reasons.
that
I gave you
Nagato
exact
beats
reasons that
Itachi. You
you
gave
did
no
not
argument for
contradict.
that.
You did
And I
not
said the
defeat or
priors you could
refute
be
at
appealing
all.
to could be
What the fuck are you talking
subjective
about?
priors,
You did
but
not
that is
refute my
irrelevant because you're
actual
claiming
argument as to
X
why
is the case within the
Nagato did
narrative.
not.
You would have to
You did not
justify that with
refute it at
objective
all.
priors.
You
So
didn't
given the fact
refute
that
anything.
you didn't justify
You
why your
literally
position is
did not
actually more
attack my
probable than mine.
argument. You literally did not attack my argument whatsoever. You just
Yeah, I did.
placed it based on skepticism. No, you didn't. You placed it based on skepticism or some shit without
Based
actually
on
refuting my
skepticism.
line of logic or my
Yeah,
claim.
I told you
It
your
was
burden share
absolutely
thing. Yeah, I
I
told
don't
you.
have to.
Wait, no, wait. If you say X is more probable and I have to show something to the
No,
contrary to show that it's not probable, then that would be burden shifting. I already refuted that point. The point is, all I was asking
it's
is
not
why
burden
there would be a
shifting. You
posteriori
already outlined
probability sufficient
why
enough
it's
considering the
possible. You were
evidence.
treating
Because
the
when we're
direct
talking about
claim.
posterior probability,
You were
that's
treating the
considering
direct
all the
claim that I
relevant data,
made.
relevant
I was
evidence to say sufficient
my
enough
argument
to say that
out of burden.
Nagato beats law,
That is
and you
how a
gave no
debate
argument
works.
for that. So you actually didn't even justify why your position is more
You
probable.
need to
When you
fucking
brought up
debate
the
it.
priors or
You
narrative
can't
implications I was putting into question,
debate it,
that
dumbass.
is just going to be a prior probability, right? These can be thought of as subjective priors. Now, your burden in this debate is to argue, right, and to show the posterior probability of the given hypothesis being higher, to actually go through the point to show that it would be more probable, and you didn't do that.
You know how this is work, nigga? You're taking the negation to my probabilistic stance. Okay? So that's the case. I illustrated to you and gave you reasons to why my stance or conclusion would be probable and justified. You would then need to explain why that is not the case.
Law, you're repeating yourself. I don't need to explain why it's not the case. I was agnostic, okay? So I'm putting your fucking reasoning into scrutiny, right?
Nigga, if you're agnostic, that's not a stance. If you're agnostic, that's not a fucking stance.
Agnostic is not the stance. Are you dumb, nigga? You agreed to this. I literally told you in the chat.
Debate context, you fucking retard.
Nigga, what are you talking about? Nigga, look. If you scroll up in the chat.
You want me to explain why agnosticism is in a stance? You want me to explain to you?
Look.
Okay, look. No.
Look, I told you in chat that I'm agnostic. That's a stance. That could be a stance you're taking within a dialogue.
In a debate.
Yeah.
The two debaters have diametrically opposing stances, right?
What does diametrically opposing stances mean? Why are you jargoning?
Shut up, nigga. If you're appealing to
why is that a necessary condition for a debate? Go ahead.
Calling into question the fucking validity of my argument. It's literally because you said I need ample evidence to fulfill my own subjective parameters.
Well, you're stuttering and you don't even know what you're talking about. That's not what agnosticism is. An agnostic is someone who could take. Sorry, I could be agnostic towards your reasoning for a given hypothesis, and that could be my position that I'm just going to hold within a dialogue. What's the P and not P with that?
Okay, you can.
Okay, then you're stun locked. Anyways, so Law.
Wait.
So the subjective priors that you're appealing to, right? I say, why would that yield a sufficient posteriori probability for your given hypothesis to say it's more probable that X beats Y, okay? And so the sufficient posteriori probability that I was talking to you about was if, considering the new evidence or the new data within the narrative, Y would be more probable. All you did was quote a subjective prior probability, which is distinct from objective prior probability, and is also distinct from posteriori probability. The posteriori probability is the only relevant burden you have to actually justify your position, which you failed to do so because you're low tier.
Okay, that's cool.
And also, you can see this as a position, so you suck.
Are you retarded?
Yeah, we can appeal
I was under the impression that when you said agnosticism, it was more so a reference to you being like a devil's advocate, because in that same message you said, I'm just gonna beat you up in your line of reasoning. So I thought
you retard. So when I'm saying that, I'm saying that I'm putting your listen. When I say I'm gonna beat you up in your line of reasoning, you fucking retard. I'm just saying that I'm just gonna put your reasoning, right, the logicality behind your reasoning into question, which is this distinct from saying, oh, I'm gonna take the position that Itachi beats Nagato. That's not the same as a negation.
You don't know shit about Naruto, bro. This is the reason why you rely on this fucking weak ass agnosticism argument.
It's not weak, bro. You can't even. You don't know how to justify your position correctly.
You're literally doing a non-affirmative. This is a non-affirmative. I don't have to appeal to this at all.
What do you mean non-affirmative? Okay, I asked you, what's a P and not P with taking agnosticism to your line of reasoning?
I don't care to appeal to it. I don't care if it's still your.
Okay, you don't care to appeal to it. Therefore, there's a P and not P with me taking agnosticism to your line of reasoning. You're a retard. What's a P and not P, dude?
Yo, you're a fucking dumbass.
Oh, I'm a dumbass. So why is it the case? Because you don't care. There's a P and not P.
Okay, bro.
Okay.
You want to actually have like a real debate, like a genuine.
That was a real debate. You just got speed blitz.
No, it wasn't.
Man, what a great debate.
This guy is so ass.
I saw
You did not refute a single claim that I asked.
I did.
All right, you guys
You realize it, right? And the reason you didn't do it is because you're afraid.
Mute up real quick. Mute up.
You're afraid of taking definitive stances because all you trash ass news and low tiers do is
you're ass. You're so ass. So
please stop.
Look, Kuro, so let me just briefly explain to you how this nigga just got Speedblitz so bad. So he brought up subjective priors. I said, okay, so you're gonna have to justify those priors, right? To say that it's more probable, given the narrative constraints, that X beats Y, we'd have to talk about the posterior probability of the given hypothesis, considering all the data relevant within the narrative that you would have to show. And I'm talking about objective priors, okay? And that's distinct from subjective priors, right? So I said, for your position to be justified, you would have to show me why the posterior probability of your given hypothesis that Nagato beats Itachi is higher in probability, right? Higher in posterior probability. And he gave no argument for that. He only talked about his subjective priors that he failed to justify. And he tried to burden shift and say, well, you'd have to show that Nagato beats Itachi, but that would be a shadow box for my position, because all my position is I'm just agnostic towards his reasoning. That's more probable that Itachi, that Nagato beats Itachi. And he did shadow box
with the several reasons that I outlined as to why.
Okay. So the several reasoning, so the several quote unquote reasonings, well, they're not even reasoning, they're just claims, right? You talked about the narrative implication and narrative traits. I said those could be subjective priors for your given hypothesis. Now I'm saying that's not going to be the fucking sufficient condition to actually justify your position that shows more probable. The means of you showing it's more probable is showing the posterior probability of your given hypothesis being higher than the contrary, right? So I don't have to fucking negate it being more probable. I can just fucking scrutinize your reasoning if it's sufficient enough to say it's more probable that X beats Y.
I do not have the obligation to appeal to that. Okay?
Obligation to appeal to what, bro?
Your hyper skepticism, nigga.
My hyper skepticism. It's not even hyper skepticism, nigga. You failed to justify why your position is more probable. I told you to justify it being more probable, you would have to see the posterior probability of your given hypothesis being higher than the contrary.
Regression? Do you want to know why this is called infinite regression?
It's not an infinite regression.
Fucking evidence I present to you.
It's not an infinite. Are you retarded?
You just take agnosticism or whatever. You
no.
Continuously keep up in the fucking levels of evidence that you need.
Wow, what are you talking about, nigga?
Which you never responded to. You have not actually
contradicted
any evidence that I've given. So
you didn't give any evidence.
Of, oh well, I'll just be able to beat you up in your line of reason falls apart because I've given you reasoning.
You didn't give any evidence.
Okay.
The reasoning is the narrative constraints. What I told you is a subjective priors that doesn't raise the posterior probability of your given position being the case. You fucking retard. All right, when we're talking about posterior probability, chill out. There's no infinite regress. There's no infinite regress. Okay. So when you're talking about subjective priors, like what you know, right, what background knowledge, maybe the narrative constraints, those are prior probabilities, right? Those are subjective prior probabilities, which is distinct from objective prior probabilities, which doesn't raise the posterior probability of your given hypothesis. Now, the specific type of justification I was asking you for is considering the data within the narrative, the new evidence shown within the narrative, which you didn't show the posterior probability yielding a sufficient criteria to say sufficient enough that your position is justified, which you didn't give me the entire rec, and you conclude that you lost. Okay, then you can concede. All right, when you're talking about credences and when you're talking about subjective priors, that's not gonna raise the posterior probability of your given hypothesis. So this nigga's retarded.
When you ask for
those are subjective priors, not posterior probabilities being higher.
Shut the fuck up! Shut the fuck up, nigga! You never stop talking. Anyways,
you're confused.
The reasoning.
I'm glad you agree.
Shut up! Oh, holy fuck! How the fuck do you actually?
Why is he begging for you to be quiet? Can you stop screaming?
So look, Law. Yeah, I know. I remember your reasoning, right? It was like the narrative constraints, right?
Like I was saying, okay? The reasons that I gave to you are inherently the evidence that shows that the hypothesis has a higher probability.
That's in question, by
That's
the way.
In question. Those are priors. Those are subjective priors. Those are distinct from posterior probabilities, you fucking idiot. So when we're talking about the posterior probability, we're considering all the relevant evidence that's actually there, not subjective priors. What I asked you earlier is what you thought. I told you that's going to be what you think, because those are going to be subjective priors for a given hypothesis. Now, when you want to justify the burden, right, the relevant burden I had on you is why does that yield a sufficient posterior probability to say your position is more probable? You never responded to that. That's why you lost. You just kept repeating yourself.
Are you serious?
Are you serious? Yeah. You fucking retard.
nigga, the reason is the fact that there's no evidence listed that contradicts that.
The reason is because there's no evidence that contradicts that.
Even even if I don't even have to do that lame ass basic borderline appeal to fucking ignorance. Okay.
Okay, I'm glad you agree that you're borderline appealing to ignorance. You fucking retard.
You ever stop talking? Shut up about the good little bit.
But that's not what you said. What you actually said is you haven't shown anything in the contrary, and I said I don't need to do that because you failed to justify the posterior probability of your given hypothesis, so you'd be burden switching. It's not because you said, oh, because the lack of evidence motivates it being more probable. You actually said because nothing, oh, I haven't shown anything, which is relevant to my position. Did you hear what I just said?
Wait, did somebody just disconnect him?
Yeah, when we're talking about the credence, right? When you're talking about the credence, we could think of credences as subjective priors, right? I told you that the credence, or what we think of as subjective priors, because they could be used interchangeably if we're talking about like Bayesian epistemology and then like Bayesianism. The credences could be the subjective priors before considering evidence, all right? So when you're talking about the subjective priors, I'm asking you, that's going to be distinct from objective priors or posterior probability considering the evidence within the narrative constraints. So the subjective priors isn't going to be sufficient enough to raise the probability, specifically the posterior probability of your given position, and that wouldn't be sufficient enough to justify your position being more probable.
Say it right now.
Huh?
What is the distinction between a subjective and objective? Let me know right now.
Yeah, so
excuse me.
I want you to explicitly say it.
Yeah, so there's something called, I didn't know this would be like a class, right? So a subjective prior is a probability distribution assigned to a parameter in Bayesian statistics that reflects an individual personal beliefs, knowledge, or expertise about the parameter's potential values, but before any that is observed, okay? That's a subjective prior. Okay, I'm telling you what a subjective prior is. I'm telling you what a subjective prior is, you fucking retard.
I'm asking you.
Oh my god.
In context.
In context, yes. So the distinction in context, right, is going to be the objective prior is going to be a statistical prior distributed in the Bayesian inference that minimizes the influence of personal beliefs, aiming to allow the data to be the primary driver of the posterior distribution.
Know what that means.
That is why I asked you want empirical evidence. Okay.
So that's why you lost so bad, all right? So this is what the objective prior is, right? Hold on, shut the fuck up, low tier. So this is what the objective prior is.
You're a low tier, nigga.
You're a low tier. You just shadow box the entire time. So when you're telling me what you think, you know you didn't justify shit. You fucking suck. Look, so this is what an objective prior is. An objective prior is a statistical prior distribution in Bayesian inference that minimizes the influence of personal beliefs, like what your credences you thought you had, aiming to allow the data to be the primary driver of the posterior distribution. Now, I ask you, given that, why does that yield a sufficient posterior probability of your position being more probable? Because that's a relevant type of fucking priors we're talking about. When you're talking about subjective priors, which is a probability distribution assigned to a parameter in Bayesian statistics that reflects an individual's personal beliefs, knowledge, or expertise, that's not going to be sufficient enough to raise the posterior probability, the objective posterior probability of your given hypothesis, considering all the relevant data.
But this is the thing, right? No, this is the thing, right? Like you said, this is already a subjective prior. This is based off of, predicated off of your own personal biases and shit like that.
No, it's not.
Why I said I don't. Shut up. This is the reason why I said I don't want to appeal to that. And we could just use empiricism so we can have an ease of reference or reference.
Okay, then you concede. We can conclude again. You suck.
No. Because this is subjective, right? And you're taking the agnostic stance.
What's subjective?
Keep on changing and shifting the goalposts so that you can.
I'm not shifting the goalposts. I've pinned you down in the same burden the entire time. Like I'm not shifting any goalposts.
Reference point, okay. You just saying, oh well, this
so law. You agree, right? That you're distinct from the narrative, right?
You think that these are subjective priors, which is also unfounded, by the way.
No, they're not.
Bitch. It's saying that doesn't improve the probability of my fucking argument.
Yo, Curl, can you help this low tier with the argument?
Oh, you never stop talking. God damn, nigga. I just want to smack Discord nigga so bad. Anyways.
You're a Discord nigga.
Nah, I'm different. Anyways.
You're fucking corny as shit.
The irony, nigga, I get more bitches than you. Anyway.
I'm glad you don't.
Like, you want to go bitch for bitch right now?
We can go band for band and bitch for bitch. Broke ass nigga.
We can go bitch for bitch right now.
Zenny, I told this low tier that the only relevant probability that raises the posterior of his fucking given position is if we're talking about something that's not a subjective prior. So we'd have to show the posterior probability of this given hypothesis being higher. And he kept talking about the subjective priors.
Yeah, I mean, the subjective prior will raise the posterior, which is just after all evidence considered.
This is the thing, right?
Yeah.
I already gave my probability.
No, you didn't. You only gave what you thought is. You only claim credences, all right?
I gave them already. You did not have any refutation.
Yeah, I did. I said those are listen, you're so confused. I said those are not going to be sufficient enough, and I said this during the point. We can go back in the recording to raise a posteriori probability if you're given the hypothesis being true that it's more probable that X beats Y, and that's just because what you claimed is the credences within the narrative constraints is going to be subjective priors. Okay, so when we're talking about the actual sufficient conditions for your position being more probable, we would have to index that into a statistical prior distribution and Bayesian inference that minimizes the influence of personal beliefs, because what you're claiming is distinct from your personal beliefs. It's within the narrative, right? You're saying X is probably the case given the narrative constraints, which is distinct from the influence of personal beliefs. So the only relevant type of fucking probability distribution here is going to be assigned to a parameter that reflects something that isn't influenced by the personal beliefs and minimizes that. So therefore, you didn't justify why your position is more probable.
I already justified it. You yourself.
That's just a repetition.
Objective standard.
No, oh my God, you're retarded. You want to conclude?
He's confused. He's just confused. He doesn't even know what you're talking about. I don't know what he's. Law, what are you responding to? You don't know what he said.
Yo, he doesn't even know what I said. Yo,
Law, you literally just said you didn't understand him. What are you responding to? You're just saying words to say. Anyways, look, Law, what topic you want to do, man? What's up? Law, what topic you want to do?
A law and a light victim. Shut the
Law, what topic do you want to do? Stop running away.
Men are speaking. Sit back while the men are.
Okay, look. So the topic is what? What's the topic? Let me say this.
That is a subjective standard, okay?
Okay, look. What topic do you want to do? We don't care about you versus Tron anymore. I want to debate you. Well, actually, I really don't. But you said you wanted to debate me, so let's debate.
Why am I getting 2v1 right now?
Dude, Tron isn't even talking. I'm trying to set up a topic.
Shut up, bitch. I'm talking.
What topic do you want to talk? What topic do you want to do?
Okay, then, pussy, shut the fuck up.
You've already debated Tron. You got anal raped by Tron. I just want to run a topic that you asked me to do. So what topic do you want to do?
Shut up, nigga.
Do you think that's a topic?
What?
Yeah, so I asked what topic you want to do, and you told me to shut up. Do you want to? Do you think that's a topic?
I am not running a topic with you right now. I am talking to Tron. I don't even have that much time.
Dude, Tron is done. He's already punched on you. He's already took your insides and just took them out. Just give a topic you want to run.
Yeah, I hope he fuck you later, bro. I really do.
You hope he fucks me with your insides?
That was funny.
Yo, what the fuck, nigga?
That was funny to you, bro. Yeah, y'all different. Y'all is different. Anyways, like I was saying, you saying that I have
that was odd.
Standard or criteria is completely
no. Look, bro, we're done. You don't even know what he said.
We have not reached.
Let's end that off.
Standards or criteria I need to fulfill.
Yeah, you're retarded. Dude, we can conclude.
What the fuck do you want me to do, nigga?
Dude, the work's not even in here.
Oh, now you want to. Oh. Now the late quality is coming back, right? So notice how your dumbass was shadowboxing the entire fucking time, getting speed bliss in this conversation. You just not know what I'm fucking asking for. You don't even know what the fuck I'm asking for. That's why you lost, dude.
Nah, I didn't lose.
You should have put everything out. You should have asked what I meant by posteriori probability.
Wait, can I get papers?
You should have asked what the sufficient conditions are for posteriori probability. What's the distinction between the subjective credence?
I myself already said that I'm not appealing to your baseless or subjective standards.
It's not baseless subjective standards, nigga. Yo, you're confused, bro. All right.
It is until I get further clarification. So
what? You didn't clarify. You didn't ask for clarification. You just fucking shadowboxed.
Yeah, I didn't ask for clarification because I didn't need it because I didn't want it.
Wait, Law, can I ask you one question? I'm kind of confused. Do you think you're not saying you're gonna appeal to his standard? Even granting that you don't appeal to it, do you think that gives an argument for why we should appeal to your standard?
I don't have a standard. I'm just outlining.
Wait, so you don't have a standard for how you justify?
Your position is more probable.
Yeah, you're confused. Yeah.
I'm confused. Just to be clear, the person who just said they don't have a standard for how they justify anything. Is it confused?
No, I said.
Okay, so when we're talking about how you justify something, and you said you don't appeal to Tron, and then you just said you don't have a standard when I asked you about yours, do you not think you're saying you don't have a standard to justify anything?
Impose standard. I'm not imposing a standard onto anyone. Okay.
What
okay, so what's? Oh my God, you're confused. So if there's no standard in which either of you abide by, that means that there is no justification for your side indexed to Tron's indexed to what Tron deems to be justified, or anybody. If anything, it would be equal, and you would have to justify your standard.
Shut up and let your daddy talk.
Are you gonna run away? I think Tron has done enough. I think Tron has already punched on you enough. I'm just kind of confused on this. That's why I'm asking you about it.
We got 3 minutes. We got 3 minutes, bro. Let's make this quick. Let's make it meaningful.
Nigga so ass, bruh.
Are you gonna answer the question? Like, what does that mean?
What are you talking about?
Look, Law, we don't care about your schizo rambles. Can you just answer the question?
Okay, bro. Okay. Anyways, now I'm about to explain what I meant when I was talking about the standards. Okay.
No, dude, I don't care about what you meant. Can you just answer the original question?
Shut up, bitch.
No, dude, you keep saying that and nobody's gone quiet. You're not terrifying, bro. Just give the argument.
We're going to him, okay? We can have the. We already came to the conclusion. Or
okay, do you think that this is the question?
Shut up.
Look, I agree everything you just said, but do you think that this is the question I asked you?
Shut up, nigga. This is a problem.
Did you keep saying that and nobody's gone quiet? Give up.
You don't stop talking. It's not even your debate.
Bro, Law, you're retarded. So, real Zenny said right here.
You needed to get support, and then when your homie started losing, you needed to jump in. You fucking suck. Oh my.
No, I don't have to jump in. The debate's ended. You guys concluded.
We already concluded.
You guys are talking about the debate.
Wait. Yeah, we already concluded why you
There's
even
nothing
show why the
happening here.
posterior probability of your given hypothesis is like more probable. Like you even justified the probable threshold that I was talking about because you said your position was like 90% the case more probable. You would have to justify the posterior probability of your given hypothesis, which you didn't do. You only talked about.
Yo, somebody get light. Let's start punching on that guy instead. A1. Does anybody have lights user? Or does anybody know how to get him in here? I want to punch on that guy.
Yo, let's get Light in here, bro. He's ass.
Hey, Law, get Light and Tamaki in here.
Yo, Light,
get them in here.
You don't even know what's a probability?
The only evidence that should be taken into consideration. Okay?
No, it's not, because it's not evidence.
What's in question is whether or not that's evidence or not, retard. So you saying that the evidence should be taken into question is
justify his prior. It's not claim the fucking prior. It's like all he did was literally just presuppose this is evidence. Right?
Of my argument. You have no contrary.
Okay, he's confused.
Look, you're retarded. I don't need to provide contrary evidence because it's irrelevant to my position, right? The only burden, shut up, bitch. Shut up, Lotier. The only burden I have within this debate is to put your fucking reasoning to scrutiny, right? I don't have a burden to show you the contrary, right? I'm not gonna fucking say, I'm not gonna do, I need to show the contrary because you haven't even justified why X is true, right? We don't, usually when we debate, right, we don't say, X is true because there's no evidence to suggest the contrary is true, right? We don't see any evidence to suggest that the contrary is true, so you would have to show it. That's not how it works, right? Because it's borderline argument from ignorance. The only burden I had, right, and the only burden you had was to show the posterior probability, when you had a sufficient threshold to say that your position is more probable, because that's the only relevant type of prior probability. Sorry, the posterior probability is going to be the only relevant type of prior we're talking about when you're trying to justify your position, considering all the evidence, all the data being more probable. The only thing you talked about this entire recording is the credences. I said, okay, the credences in the like formal epistemology can be thought of as subjective priors, okay, but that's not going to be the relevant type of fucking probability that you would need to justify for your position to be fucking justified. So you conclude before you even justified why the posterior probability, considering all the data, is going to be fucking higher than the contrary. So you lost trivially.
Why is he schizo laughing?
Let me explain this to you, okay?
Anyway, Tron, are you recording this?
Yeah, I'm recording.
Okay, good, because I don't want to connect to recordings.
After all evidence has been taken into consideration, you do not provide any contrary evidence nor a fucking contradiction or refutation to the basis of any of my statements or claims. That means that no, you didn't.
Yeah, I did. We can go on the rec.
More likely than your
negation. That I don't have a negation because I'm agnostic, dumbass. So you're just
lies.
I mean, you don't have an actual fucking stance. It's not a real.
Wait. So wait. A stance doesn't have to be a binary or like anything like that. It doesn't have to be. It's just the case that you necessarily have to take a negation to my position. I asked you what the argument is. I said, what's the PNRP with taking an agnostic stance on your line of reasoning? All right. So that's the reason why you lost so badly, and I don't need to show anything on my end because you failed to justify why the fucking sufficient posterior probability threshold is there to say it is more probable that X beats Y. And I said these are going to be the sufficient conditions. You never attacked me saying those are going to be the sufficient conditions to say your position is more probable. So you lost.
All right, look, Law, what topic do you want to do? What are
the conditions?
Law, what topic do you want to do?
So the sufficient conditions is something distinct from the credences, or what you claim is the credences. It's going to show, right, when we put this in Bayes' theorem, right, we appeal the Bayes' theorem for this, and it's to show that considering all the evidence, the posterior probability, considering all the new data, is higher. When you're talking about the credences, what you claim in the beginning is a credence. Shut the fuck up, Lotier. 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 Shut the fuck. That was literally, I literally justified this in the recording.
Why do I need to appeal to it?
Why do I need to appeal to it? Because when you're claiming X is the case, because wait. When you're claiming all else equal, your position is more probable that X beats Y within this narrative constraint. You're claiming something that would require a posterior probability to be higher. When you're claiming X is the case, right, mutually excluded from your personal beliefs or knowledge about a parameter, which is going to be the narrative constraints, which you are analytically distinct from the narrative constraints, you would have to justify the objective priors, which is distinct from the credences. And that would include the posteriori probability of the given hypothesis being higher, considering all the relevant empirics or data that is shown within the narrative. All right, so you never did that and you concluded, so you lost.
He's not even in here, by the way. Also, send me the recordings.
I got you.